Hi everyone. So in our last presentation session, we covered the three major input file required for a command to get executed. For a command to take input from the keyboard, it was using the standard input file. For a command, whenever it gets executed, it has to display the executed content on the terminal or on the display. For that, it will use the standard output file. So finally, if there are any errors when a command is getting executed, those errors will be passed on to the standard error file that will be ultimately projected onto the display. So we saw that each of those standard file add three different sources. For example, if you are taking an input, so you can take the input directly from the keyboard, which is the default source, or you can take the input from a file. So at that time, redirection will take place. How redirection happens actually? So the file through which you are going to take the input, that file will be associated with the standard input file. So whenever you are taking the input, so the file content will be copied onto standard input file, then it will ultimately be considered. So in a similar manner, when we consider standard output, so you can directly pass the output to the display. At that time, the display will be associated with the standard output file, or you can redirect the file content or the command result onto a file. So this file will be associated to the standard output file. Ultimately, the standard output file will pass on the content to the display by displaying. So this is how the redirection will happen. So if your standard output file is associated with a display, then the content will be shown on the terminal. If your standard output file is associated with another file, then the content will be stored in that particular file. Later on, you can display the contents of that particular file. So we saw there were three major sources. These were the first two sources, that is the default one and using the file. The another source where you can use in order to perform redirection, that is to redirect the content from one file to another file, we can make use of pipeline. So pipe is a command, pipe is a process or a procedure which you can use to connect commands. How you can connect commands? The output of one particular command can be given as input to another command. That means in a single line, there will be two or more commands which will be executing. So the output of one command can be given as input to the next command. So that will execute the command by taking input from the previous command. Then it will give the necessary result. Now we shall try to understand how this pipe concept will work with the help of some of the examples. So pipe is another form of output redirection. You cannot make use of this particular thing for input redirection. It is just like output redirection as we saw in the standard output. That means the output of a first command is given as input to the second command. With piping, the output of a command can be used as input or piped to a subsequent command. Subsequent means next command. The syntax that has to be used in order to use the concept of pipe is the command prompt itself, the command to be executed, the first command, then the pipeline. That means whatever the output you are getting after executing command 1, that will be given as input to command 2. Your output from command 1 is piped into input for command 2. The symbol is symbol enide. This denotes it is a pipe. Okay, let us see some examples to understand what actually this pipe is all about. As you can see here, why we use ls command, that this particular command is mainly used in order to list all the files present in a current directory. LP command is a command used to print the contents, to send anything to the printer. Whatever the printer which has been attached to print the contents in the printer, you will be using LP command. That means you are listing all the files present in the current working directory. Those all files will be sent to the printer. Your printer command, this command will send the files to printer for getting printed. Here pipe is used to send the output of ls to the LP to print a hard copy of the listing of current directory, all the files of the current directory. Pipeline can be used with two or more commands, but the user should know the behavioral property of each command to place them there. That means you should know what is the output you are getting from the first command, so that you are giving proper input to the next command. You cannot just simply place your command and put a pipeline in between. That cannot happen. You should be aware of the fact what input the second command can accept. So that input has to be taken from the execution of first command. That has to be taken care of whenever you are using pipeline concept. Let us try to see one more example. As you can see here, you are using two pipelines. That means you are using three commands. So first, you are making a list. You are listing all the files present in the current working directory. Then you are performing a word count. So it will count the number of files present in the current working directory. So that particular count will be displayed, will be printed. So it will print a count of files present in the current working directory. This is how you can make use of pipe in order to perform output redirection, where the output of first command will be given as input to the second command. If there are any more commands, the output of the second command will be given as input to the third command. So these are all the things you need to remember with respect to pipe. So this completes your entire major topic, that is redirection. Redirection using three standard files. So firstly we covered many major topics. Firstly we covered shell interpretive cycle. Later on we covered wildcards. Then we covered how we can remove the special meaning of wildcards. So for that we followed two major concepts, escape and quoting. Then we saw what is redirection, how we can achieve redirection with the three standard files, that is standard input, standard output and standard error. So in my last presentation session, I missed out giving some information with respect to standard input, standard output and standard error. That means your standard output will be given an absolute value of 0, your standard output will be given an absolute value of 1, the standard error will be given an absolute value of 2, 0, 1 and 2. These are the descriptors. So you can associate each of those files with this file descriptors. ಈ file descriptors ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಇದನ್ನ associate ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. So next we shall try to move on to the next topic, that is, so this is actually a continuation of the previous one, that is pipe. So once we pipe topic ide, that continuation is this particular subtopic. So when a command needs to be ignorant of its source, what is this represents? So a command wants to execute something, but you don't want the command to become aware of the source where the file is currently existing. It should just execute the file, but it should not know the source of the file. Instead of knowing the source of the file, it should just execute the file. How it can happen? If we wish to find the total size of all C programs contained in the working directory, ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಿ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರಿಲಿ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಸೈಜ್ ನಾವೇನಾದ್ರು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ದ ಬಿಲೋ ಕಮಾಂಡ್ ವರ್ಡ್ ಕೌಂಟ್. ವರ್ಡ್ ಕೌಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ number of lines, number of words, characters, file name. So you can get to know the total file size because it will display number of characters. You are displaying only the number of characters. So number of characters ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಫೈಲ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಂತ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ಡಾಟ್ ಸಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಇರುವಂತ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಫೈಲ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಡಾಟ್ ಸಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ ಆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಫೈಲ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. However, it also shows the usage of for each file size. We are not interested in individual statistics. That means it will take each individual file, then it will display the file size of each individual file. But we don't want the file size of each individual file. Rather, we want the total size of all the C programs, So the solution for that is we must make word count to be ignorant of its input source. That means word count should not know from where it is getting the input. So it should not know the input source. So we feed the concatenated output stream of all the .c files to wc minus c as its input. As you can see, first we will display the contents. First we will display all the files which end with .c extension. All those files will be given as input to your word count. In such a case, you will be getting all these files will be taken as a single input by your word count. Thereby, you will be getting the total size of all C programs present in the current working directory. So in this case, your wc command is ignorant of the input source. It is getting the input directly from the previous command. So that's why this is how we can make a command to become ignorant of its source. So these are the things you need to remember with respect to the pipe topic. Now we shall move on to one new topic which is also very much interesting from your exam point of view, that is grep. So what do you mean by grep? Why we need grep? The major usage of grep, it is used mainly to globally search for a regular expression. That means we will be searching for a patterns in a particular file. So if we find that particular pattern, we will print all the lines containing that particular pattern. ಯಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಇದೆ, all those lines will be getting displayed. So grep is mainly used for searching a pattern in a given file. When the searching gets matched, it will display all the lines in that particular file which contains the pattern. It will display all the lines present in that particular file which contains the pattern. So this command can be used to search a file for lines that have a certain pattern. So we will be searching a file for all the lines which contain a certain pattern. This command scans the file for a pattern and it will display these two main things. Line containing the pattern. ಯಾವ line ಅಲ್ಲಿ pattern ಇದೆ, it will display the entire line or it will display the line numbers. So there are many options available with respect to grep command. You can use many number of options. Based on the options you are using, you can display the entire line containing the pattern or just the line numbers. Now we shall try to understand how your grep command will work. What are all the different options available with respect to grep command. So as you can see here, this is the syntax you need to follow in order to use your grep command. First you need to write grep command followed by the pattern you are searching in the file, then the file name itself. So as you can see, this is the syntax. So we shall try to understand how we can write some examples by following the syntax. As you can see here, I am using the grep command in order to search for a pattern called as mh. That mh will be searched in a file called as student.lst. What this particular command will do, it will display lines containing mh from the file student.lst. ಯಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ mh ಅಂತ pattern ಇದೆ, all those lines will get printed when you execute this particular command. Patterns with and without quote is also possible. It is not always necessary to enclose your pattern with double quotes. You can give pattern without any quotes. Quote is mandatory when pattern involves more than one word. If you are searching for a pattern which contains more than one word, such as mh space rcb, that means you are using two words. Whenever you are using two words, it is necessary to include, it is necessary to enclose double quotes. If you are searching only a single word as a pattern, then there is no need to enclose the pattern within double quotes. Quote is mandatory when pattern involves more than one word. Let us try to see one more example. As you can see here my document has two words, that is my space document. In this particular case, it is always necessary to enclose your pattern within double quotes. So here my document will be searched in student.list. It will display all the lines containing my document from your student.lst. ಯಾವೆಲ್ಲ lines ಅಲ್ಲಿ my document ಅಂತ pattern ಇದೆ, all those lines will get printed. This command can also be used with multiple file names. As you can see here, so far we are using the pattern on single file name. We can also search the pattern on multiple files. How we can do that? As you can see here, you are using the grep command, then you are using the pattern. This particular pattern will be searched on multiple files. In this case, we are using three different files: student.lst, v2.lst, rank.lst. So in such a case, the mh pattern will be searched in all these three different files. Then it will display all the lines which contain mh pattern in all three files. So these are the things you need to remember with respect to grep command. Now we shall try to understand the options which are available with respect to grep command. There are many major options which are available with respect to grep command. We shall try to understand each of those options in a greater detail. As you can see, these are the major options. All these options are explained clearly in the below mentioned details. So we shall go through all these things. So Linux supports below listed options for your grep. That means along with the grep command, you can use this many number of options. Okay. So to understand the working of different option, let us consider we have following information in a given file. So first I am trying to list the contents of a given file. So cat, what it will do, it will display the contents of a given file. So student.lst ಅಂತ file ಏನಿದೆ, this particular file contents na I am displaying it. So as you can see, it is displaying some content. There are 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4 line, MH, MH, GWVV, ISO, CSO, branch or the serial number or the USN, display ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. 4 semester ಅಂತ display ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. Okay na? Now we shall try to see how we can use all these options. So the first option is -e, which is ignores case, as the name itself suggests. So whenever it is searching the file for a particular pattern, it will ignore the case. That means the searching happens irrespective of the case. So that means I will ignore option can be used to search all lines containing a pattern regardless of uppercase and lowercase distinction. It is small mh idru saha that should be matched. Athara. Example, grep, you are using an option called as -i. You are trying to search for a pattern mh in this particular file, demo file. So student.list anta anಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. It will match us all the words such as mh match ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, small m capital H, capital M small h, small m small h. So from this file we can see there are 2 lines which contain mh pattern. Those 2 lines will get displayed. So the major usage of -i is to ignore case. Regardless of uppercase and lowercase, the pattern matching should take place. It should match all these 4 combinations. So the next option with respect to grep is -v. What -v will do? -v option can be used to print all lines that do not contain the specified pattern. That means if you are searching for a pattern called as mh, then it will list all the lines in the file which does not contain mh. That means it will list these 2 lines. As you can see here, grep -v, you are searching for a pattern called as mh in this particular file student.lst, then it will list the remaining 2 lines which does not contain mh. That is how your -v option will work. The next option is -n. -n option can be used to display line numbers containing the pattern. As you can see, if I am searching for mh pattern in this particular file, the line numbers in which mh pattern is present is 1 and 2. So it will display the line numbers 1 and 2. Counting lines containing the pattern. -c option can be used to count the number of lines containing the pattern. As you can see, if I am searching for mh pattern in this particular file, there are 2 lines which contain mh pattern. So it will display 2. So grep -c, mh ಅನ್ನೋ pattern student.list ಅಲ್ಲಿ search ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, so the number of lines which contain mh pattern is 2. So that's why it is displaying 2. Next is to display file names. So -l option can be used to list out all the files containing the pattern. So for example, ಯಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಫೈಲ್ಸ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ mh pattern ಇದೆ, if you want to list out all those files which have .lst extension. So mh ಅನ್ನೋ pattern ಯಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಫೈಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ and all those files should have .lst as the extension, then you can use -l option. As you can see, grep -l mh. So mh ಅನ್ನೋ pattern .lst extension ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಫೈಲ್ಗಳಿದೆ, all those files will be listed. Okay na? List out all the files containing this pattern. All those files should have the extension .lst. Matching multiple pattern. Suppose in a single file, if you want to match more than one pattern. So far, we are matching a single pattern called as mh. But if you want to match more than one pattern in a single file, then you can make use the option called as -c. So your -c option can be used to match multiple pattern in a given file. So as you can see, for example, grep -c is the option I'm using. I'm trying to match mh. Then also I'm using -c option. Also I'm trying to match VV from this particular file. So I'm trying to match 2 patterns mh and VV from the same file student.lst. When this particular command gets executed, so then it will display these three lines 1, 2 and 4 because you are matching two patterns MH as well as E. So it will display first line, second line and the fourth line. So the next option is F, taking pattern from a file. So in the above example, we were searching for two patterns in this single file. So if you want to take the pattern input from a file, then you can make use of -F option. So -F option can be used to place all matched pattern in a separate file, one pattern per line. So in that particular file, one pattern should be placed line after line. That means MH should be placed in first line, VV should be placed in second line. So if you are using grep with -F option, then you can take the patterns as input from a given file. So these are the major options you can use with respect to grep command: -I, -V, -N, -C, -L, -E, -F. So the remaining three are for this examples are not needed. So we shall just try to go through these three options. -X, it matches patterns with the entire line. That means so entire line should get matched, not a single word. Entire line should get matched. It treats pattern as extended regular expression. So you will get to know what do you mean by extended regular expression. That will be the next topic. After basic regular expression, you will understand extended regular expression. So whenever matching is happening, so that pattern will be treated as extended regular expression. So what is extended regular expression? That will be understood when you take up that particular topic called as extended regular expression. So -F will matches multiple fixed string. That means in this particular case, so it will be ignorant. It won't be ignorant of the case. That means fixed string in the sense that particular string itself should get matched. Capital MH andre MH match agbedu, not small MH. So these are the major options which are available with your grep command. So far in this particular presentation session, we covered the last type of output redirection, that is using pipe, how the output of a first command can be given as input to the second command. Then later on we saw how we can make a command to become ignorant of its source. This is the solution to make WC become ignorant of the source. In this particular case, it will display the total size of all the C program present in the current working directory. Then later on we saw the new topic which is grep, the command which is used to search for a command, search for a pattern in a given file. So this was the syntax, grep pattern followed by the file name. We saw many examples. Then lastly we saw the options which are available with respect to grep command. So in our next presentation session, we shall try to start with regular expression. So first we shall wrap up basic regular expression, then later on we can move on to extended regular expression. So watch your presentation session. Still if you get any doubts with respect to any of the topic I have covered so far, you can ping me with respect to your doubts. Thank you.